Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as we all know, there's one pressing issue that needs addressed at Celtic this summer, and it's the need of a new goalkeeper. Joe Hart is retiring, and Celtic need to address the issue, which is the goalkeeping department. And we've been linked with many names. So today I've decided, why don't we look over all of the names that Celtic have been linked with thus far, and try and have a look at who we'd rather and who we'd leave. Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We're trying to get towards 50,000 subs this year. So if you haven't already, make sure to drop down below and hit those buttons. Also, quick side note, for all you wrestling fans out there, I've taken the plunge. I've finally started a second channel to talk about professional wrestling. The link to it will be in the description below. The first video went live yesterday, and I'm looking to make that my wee side project, doing some videos a week over there. So if you like wrestling, head over and subscribe. If you don't, it'd still be nice if you went and subscribed, but I know you might not give two tosses. Aye. So as we all know, Joe Hart is retiring this summer. The announcement came a couple of months back, and we're going to miss him. We really will. He's had a great season for Celtic. He's arguably been, and in my opinion, he has been our player of the year. And the character that he is and everything that he brings to the club is so much bigger than you can ever begin to exaggerate. He's a huge figurehead at the club, and he's been a great addition since coming in under Ange Postecoglou a few years ago. So it's got to be a big set of gloves to fill. And Celtic need to get the decision right. Our luck in signing goalkeepers has been hit and miss over the last few years. I think you know what I'm talking about. So we need to make this a very good signing, and a signing that sets us up for the next few years. It's not the only position that needs addressed at the club, but it's certainly one of the priorities. So since the announcement of Joe Hart's retirement, there's been 7 goalkeepers linked with Celtic. Yes, 7. Today, we're going to try and go through all 7. It's not going to be the proper in-depth look at them all. I'm not going to break down their statistics and their save rates and everything like that. We're just going to talk about the chances of them signing for Celtic, the story surrounding them being linked with Celtic, and a little look at the player themselves. I'm going to wait until there seems to be more concrete information before I start breaking down each and every player, and we'll do that in individual videos throughout the summer. Today, we're going to look over the names though, and you guys can tell me in the comments below who you like, who you want. Shall we get started with this, because there's a lot of names we need to run through. Let's start with Asmir Begovic. This is a name that popped up last week. We all know who he is. He's been around the game for a long time now. 36 years of age, currently applying his trade to Queen's Park Rangers in the English Championship. He was a name that was plucked out of thin air last week, and one that wasn't so much a surprise to Celtic fans, considering our recruitment strategies and our tight-fisted board. It wasn't a huge surprise, but it's one that wasn't met with the same excitement as some of the other names on this list. And quite rightly so. You can't go out there and replace a 37-year-old Joe Hart with a 36-year-old Asmir Begovic. That's a 1 year, max 2 year thing, and it doesn't do anything for the long-term view of the position. You know, you want to bring in somebody that's ideally going to hold that spot down for a number of years, and that quite simply isn't Asmir Begovic. He's not at the top of his game now. He definitely won't be at the top of his game next year. It's one that thankfully has kind of been rubbished over the last few days. Now, I take everything Football Insider say with a pinch of salt, but sources over there saying that it's unlikely Celtic are going to go for Asmir Begovic. He's one of the lesser options on the list, and that story's been run by a number of tabloids by now, but you know, he's coming up to the end of his contract at QPR. He could present a free option to Celtic. I certainly see why he could be a name that's on the short list of keepers that the recruitment team have got, because the board will love it. No money to be spent. Originally, I thought to myself, do you know what? If we're needing to bring in 2 goalkeepers, because Benjamin Siegrist has to leave, he wouldn't even be a bad backup shout, but I would just have the fear that the money that he would want and the football that he would want to play, he would end up being our first team keeper. And the reason I say that is because he's played 46 games this season. In terms of minutes being played, he's not slowing down, Asmir Begovic. He's got a hell of a lot more in the tank by the looks of it. I think he wants to keep playing. He'll demand a hefty wage. This one seems to have petered out a little bit, which is good. Of course, he's enjoyed a great career down south, playing for Stoke, Chelsea, Everton, and now at QPR. They've had a mixed season. They've been dancing around that bottom half of the table, Queen's Park Rangers. I don't suspect this is one Celtic will move in on. We need to be looking for younger keepers. We need to be looking for somebody who really fills the role for a number of years rather than someone at the very end of their career. He's done with international football. He has been for about 4 years now at the age of 36. I'm assuming that'll be the same with club football very, very soon. I think this is one you shouldn't have to worry about too much. Let's move on to Tom Glover, who is somebody we've already spoke about on the channel in the past few weeks. The Australian goalkeeper has been looked at by Celtic and a number of other clubs. This is what the Record said a couple of weeks back surrounding the name of Tom Glover. It said Celtic and Rangers are among a number of clubs plotting a transfer swoop for Middlesbrough goalkeeper Tom Glover, according to a report. So apparently Celtic and Rangers both interested. I feel like this is one of these names that media has thrown Celtic and Rangers into the mix to try and generate a bit of interest. You've got to remember Tom Glover at the start of the season, I don't believe, was the Middlesbrough first choice. He's not performed as much as, you know, a Begovic or some of the other guys on this list. In fact, if you have a look at statistics, he's only played 12 league games this season. He has played in the Cup as well. I think he's played 20 games in general for Middlesbrough, but when you consider the Championship as a 46 game season and then you've got all your cup competitions, that's less than half the season Tom Glover has actually played. And I have a feeling his name has maybe just been told by agents to be generated alongside the likes of Celtic and Rangers to try and garner some interest to get him that move. As at first it looked like a legitimate story and somebody Celtic could have been looking at, but now I'm starting to think that might not be the case. According to Football Australia, Celtic are in a four-way fight with Newcastle, Copenhagen and Rangers to try and land the signature of Tom Glover, and Brendan Rodgers has him high on his list to replace Joe Hart. So take of that what you will from Football Australia. One thing that has to be remembered about Tom Glover is apparently he's due to undergo surgery on his finger when this season is finished and all wrapped up, or sometime soon, which, I'm assuming he would recover from quite quickly, but the last thing we need is somebody coming in with an injury to start next season. That's not what I want to hear. There's definitely a talent there. There's only one way that you get recognised by Newcastle, Copenhagen, Celtic and Rangers, and that's through being a good goalkeeper. But there's a reason I've started off the video with both him and Asmir Begovic, because these are the two I just don't really see happening. Etienne Visson, somebody we've spoke about a few times on the channel because he was the first goalkeeper who was linked with Celtic, if I remember rightly, back after Joe Hart announced his retirement. There has been no further updates on Etienne Visson from really that original bunch of stories that came out. It still looks like the same situation. It still looks as though Celtic are looking at him, but there hasn't been any progression from the original stories. The big thing with Etienne Visson is the fact that his contract expires at the end of the season. He will be a free agent in the summer. He's been in a really, really tough relegation battle with Valvik over in the Dutch Eredivisie, and is probably ready to move on because he's been one of their star players. He's been one of the guys that have been a key figure in the squad. And I think he's ready for that upgrade. He's been linked with some big clubs. Reports have been linking him with moves to PSV Eindhoven and Feyenoord as well. So Celtic, PSV, Feyenoord, you can see there is a clear upgrade on the cards no matter whether it's Celtic or no. He's going to be getting a big move, and I think he's ready to move on from that contract which is expiring this summer. There's just been no update whether or not there's been contact, whether or not there's been progression. We just know it was somebody who back at the end of March was linked with Celtic, and it remains the same. He's ranked up there as one of the best keepers in the Eredivisie despite Valvik's position. No matter how bad they've been playing, he's been a standout. He's got one of the best save rates in the league, one of the best passing rates in the league, especially when it comes to long passing and getting the ball up the park. He seems to be a real standout in the Eredivisie, and there's a reason he's been looked at. 28 years of age this year, he's played, as you can see, 27 games in the Eredivisie. Someone who came back from a really horrific injury as well against Ajax when he took quite the head knock. So you've got a brave goalkeeper, to say the least, somebody who could certainly be an option and somebody who's one of the standouts for me. Just waiting to find out if there's any progression on Celtic's interest. The next name up is the one that I thought was most unrealistic from the list, and one when I seen linked with us, I kind of brushed to the side straight away, and we'll come on to the reason why in a moment. Are you ready for my butchered pronunciation? Let's try it, shall we? Zetterberg, the Turkish goalkeeper from Trabzonspor, who was linked with Celtic while I was in Philadelphia at the start of the month. We haven't really had the chance to talk about him on this channel, but he is one that's kind of came out and led the way for a lot of Celtic supporters. This is one that I think a lot of people have got really behind and excited by, for whatever your reason may be. But this report came out from Taka in Turkey, and as you can see, the headline said that Trabzonspor received a transfer offer from Celtic for Sakir, email signed by CEO Michael Nicholson. The article goes on to say that the development came when Trabzonspor was working and planning on squad engineering for next season. Trabzonspor management was working intensively on the structuring of the team for the next season, where Celtic's transfer offer for Sakir came at an unexpected time. In the email signed by club CEO Nicholson, it was requested to initiate official transfer negotiations for Sakir. In this context, permission was requested from Trabzonspor club to invite the management and lawyer to Glasgow for transfer negotiations. The necessary permissions were requested for Celtic coach Brendan Rodgers to have a Zoom meeting with the goalkeeper. So, listen, I can't sit here and say I can put thumbs up or down towards the legitimacy of Turkish journalism. I don't know what's nonsense and what's not, but that was the story that came out from Turkey. Since then, though, it's emerged that there's a few stumbling blocks in the way of signing Zetterberg Sakir. So that article from the Turkish journalists that I just showed on screen said that Celtic submitted an offer, or wanted to talk about an offer around the region of £7.5 million. According to another Turkish site called Kontraspor, they say that Trabzonspor won £12.5 million for the signing of Sakir. And apparently Liverpool made an offer for the player back in a transfer window a couple of years ago, and they wanted £18 million for the player. So that was a couple of years ago. His contract's obviously moved on, so £12.5 million probably sounds legitimate, probably sounds about right. There is no chance Celtic are spending £12.5 million on a goalkeeper. There is absolutely no way. Just don't see it happening, and for that reason, I just think this one's unrealistic for us. It's also been reported that clubs in Saudi Arabia have made an offer, or at least discussed a potential signing of Sakir from Trabzonspor. And if Saudi money is getting involved, we have absolutely no chance, because they'll pay him about 700 grand a week. And that ain't happening at Celtic. The player himself has also spoke about a potential move in the summer, and it doesn't seem like he's that keen on leaving Turkey. Anyway, this was his comments in the media. He said, "I've been a Trabzonspor fan since my childhood. My father instilled this love in me. After spending a certain period of time in the youth structure, I was promoted to the A-team. Playing for Trabzonspor was already my dream as a child, and it gives me great pride to me, my family, and the loved ones." It seems he's pretty happy where he is. I know that money talks, and he probably will end up moving at some point in his career for a different challenge. Do I just see it being Celtic? To be quite honest with you, no. I think in terms of quality, you're absolutely looking at the best option here. He's won the Turkish Super League, which is a difficult league to win. He's played in the Champions League qualifiers. He's played in European football and group stage competition. He probably has the best sort of reputation out of all these keepers as well. I just think if £12.5 million is what Trabzonspor are wanting, there is no way, especially after the absolute disaster that was the signing of Barkas. I don't think the club are willing and ready to take that risk. So keep an eye out for developments. But he's the captain of Trabzonspor. He's very highly thought of, and I'm sure that other clubs will be interested in paying more money. The penultimate name we're going to talk about is another one we've spoke about on the channel before, so we'll get this one done very quickly. Michael Zetterberg, who was linked with us a number of weeks ago, right at the start of April as well. He was apparently, according to the Daily Record, a concrete Celtic transfer target, and the keeper already dropped a major hint about a move. The article said that there's reportedly concrete interest from Celtic in the Werder Bremen keeper, Michael Zetterberg, as the hunt for Joe Hart's replacement ramps up. He was somebody who was linked with us. He's somebody who's probably destined for a move this summer as well, Celtic being one of the leading candidates reportedly. Michael Zetterberg is someone who's had a standout season for Werder Bremen, dislodging Jiří Pavlenka as number one keeper. We've spoke about all of this before in a video, so you can go and find it and watch that. But he's someone who was a backup keeper and has been that good in his backup role that he's ended up taking the place of Jiri Pavlenka in the Werder Bremen starting 11. So somebody who's obviously very talented, having an issue with his contract at Werder Bremen, and looks as though he's desperate to get a move now. The outlet Bild in Germany, of course, very big, very famous journalistic outlet, has came out and said that he wants to stay at Werder Bremen. He does want a new contract, but he doesn't want to be backup keeper, and it's contracted for him right now that he will be backup keeper should he resign. He's not a fan of that. There could be a potential move, and in the same outlet, or same article, sorry, by the outlet Bild, apparently Celtic really like the profile of the player. So this is somebody who we could potentially see, someone with a contract that's running down and not looking like will be re-signed anytime soon. And one of those names that look good to me. You know me, I love my Bundesliga. I love my German football. It looks good. But I wonder if they'll manage to sort a negotiated deal for him. And the final name to talk about today, and the most recent player to be linked with Celtic, the most recent goalkeeper to be linked, is Patrick Pence, someone who has emerged and became a quick favourite for a lot of people online to be the new Celtic goalkeeper. I don't think it's one that Celtic could easily sign. I think there would be a lot of work to be done, but quite rightly being looked at in high regard. Seems to be a good goalkeeper. These were the headlines sort of scattered around different outlets over the past couple days. Celtic targeting goalkeeper Patrick Pence this summer. The article saying that Celtic's battle for success continues as they aim to head ahead of Rangers in the Scottish Premiership, but links to targets for summer window have started to emerge, and the latest player to be touted with a move to Celtic Park is Patrick Pence of Bayer Leverkusen. The goalkeeper, who's currently on loan to Brøndby, seems to be in line for a permanent move somewhere this summer when he returns to parent club Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, Leverkusen, German champions, they have a pretty established squad, and a squad that would probably quite hard for young Paddy Pence here to get into. And Celtic, one of the names who are apparently interested, but not the only club interested. The same article goes on to say that Celtic aren't the only club interested, with Dutch league leaders PSV Eindhoven having a keen interest in the player, and he would be quite happy with a move there, I would assume. The player himself has commented in the same article as well, saying, "I get asked this question in interviews every week. My contract at Leverkusen runs until summer 2025. I can't decide entirely on what happens next. My full focus is currently on the title fight, and I will give everything for the club until the end of the season. I feel very comfortable in Copenhagen. The club, the city, and the people just suit me perfectly." Of course, Brøndby sitting top of the Danish league right now in a title fight over there, so they're in line for Champions League football. There could be a potential permanent move lining up for Patrick Pence over there if they get the Champions League money, and he really enjoys the city, as he said. Copenhagen and Brøndby, they could be in the mix of signing him permanently. Brøndby's a good club, and if he's enjoying himself, I wouldn't blame him if he takes the move permanently. But he's been a really key part to the success they've found this season. He's been one of the best goalkeepers in the region, and quite rightly getting linked with moves. Only valued at £1.5 million by Transfermarkt for somebody who is only 27, which is a good age for a goalkeeper, and could potentially be a Danish champion this year. I think that would be a really good signing for Celtic. He looks good, his stats look good. He is the most recent name to be linked, so just keep an eye on him. Right, that does it for today then. I know it's a bit of waffle. One thing you will notice is all of these keepers linked with Celtic, and in articles by whatever outlet it may be, whether it's a Turkish outlet, a Danish outlet, or the Daily Record, apparently all these keepers are top targets for Celtic. You can only take everything with a pinch of salt. What is the main thing to pick up on, though, is Celtic are definitely doing their business behind the scenes. We're not getting linked with these keepers for no reason. I'd imagine that words have been put in across Europe, and players have been getting scouted across Europe, and word just gathers, doesn't it? It just gets round. Celtic are probably doing their due diligence and trying to sign a keeper, and we should hopefully have more concrete information soon. And you know where to come to find all that concrete information. Right here, we'll be reporting it as soon as it emerges. What goalkeeper do you like the look of most? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.